Today's story is a doozy. It's about two entertainment companies, a data hack across international lines, and the intellectual property rights of one of the most popular superheroes on the planet, Spider-Man. But to tell this story, we have to go back to the 90s, where Marvel Comics were in dire straits. They were about to go bankrupt. Kids weren't clamoring for comics the way that they used to, and some of the more rare comics didn't appreciate and value the way that some experts predicted they would. So Marvel had to do something fast, or they could be bought out, split up for parts. So Marvel decided to license their characters in a really dramatic way. Following the success of Tim Burton's Batman, there was a hunger for stylized superhero movies on a massive scale using classic characters. And Marvel got into that game by partnering with outside studios, where they would license the live action film rights to their characters to studios like 20th Century Fox, which got Fantastic Four and the X-Men, among other characters. And the Hulk made a deal with Universal Pictures, and Spider-Man and his universe of characters went to Sony Pictures. But the deal with Spider-Man was really significant, as this was Marvel's top-tier character. I mean, the web-slinging high schooler was universally loved across the globe. So while Sony had free reign to use the character however they saw fit, Marvel put a clause in the agreement that stated a Spider-Man film had to be in development or released within 3 years of each other, or the rights would be forfeited back to Marvel. Ever wonder why there's been so many Spider-Man movies in such a quick period of time? It's all right there in the fine print. But this forced Sony to produce Spider-Man movies at a rate that would be incredibly hard to maintain. We have Sam Raimi direct the first trilogy of Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire. And while the first two movies were universally praised for its inventiveness, the third movie was kind of panned for its overcomplexity. So what does Sony do? Well, they can't stop the machine or they'll lose Spidey, so they reboot. Mark Webb directs a rebooted Spider-Man franchise called The Amazing Spider-Man, starring Andrew Garfield, which gives a fresh take on a high school Spider-Man. But it was just around this time that Marvel Studios was on a roll of their own. The independent studio where Marvel could control their own cast of characters and build a universe with characters like Captain America and Thor and Iron Man. But Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, he knew that a key piece of this cast was missing. A key piece that had been a part of their comics fan base forever, Spider-Man. So, a legendary meeting took place in early 2014, where Kevin Feige, having built his own Hollywood credibility, met with Amy Pascal, who was the head of Sony Pictures. Now, Amy had been spearheading the reboots for Spider-Man, holding on to those rights with a tight fist. And according to the story, Kevin Feige sat down with Amy Pascal over a couple cafe sandwiches for lunch. And Kevin introduced the idea of Spider-Man returning to the Marvel fold, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where Spider-Man could rub shoulders with Captain America and Iron Man as the Marvel storytelling swells into a crescendo. He used the example of how Warner Brothers had great success with Christopher Nolan having free reign to make Batman movies the way he saw fit, while acting as an independent contractor for Warner Brothers. Marvel Studios could be that independent contractor for Sony, taking creative control for Spider-Man, while Sony got to enjoy the financial benefits of the Spider-Man films being connected to this larger Marvel Cinematic Universe, all the while being under the Sony Pictures banner. After Kevin proposed the idea, there was a beat of silence, just before Amy Pascal picked up her sandwich and threw it at Kevin Feige's face, saying, "Get the out." A couple months later, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 arrived in theaters starring Andrew Garfield, to middling reviews and a decaying fan base. And this may have been the end of the story, if not for tension growing overseas. On November 24th, 2014, Sony Pictures' internal data was breached. A hacker group known as the Guardians of Peace leaked confidential information from Sony Pictures, including personal information of Sony's employees, salaries, internal emails, and as a part of the hack, the group demanded that Sony cancel the December release of 2014's The Interview, a Seth Rogen comedy about the assassination of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The group wasn't specifically identified as a North Korean hacker, but the writing was on the wall, and the harm had already been done, especially to studio head Amy Pascal. Her emails that leaked in particular showed a lack of cooperation with other executives, a breakdown in communication on Amy Pascal's part, some racist remarks on President Obama's choice of movies, internal dialogue of Sony's inability to handle Spider-Man, and the possibility of Spider-Man joining the MCU. And while some of these things, minus the racist comments, might be normal behavior for a studio head, it was just too late for the general public. The cat was out of the bag, and the possibility of Spider-Man returning home to Marvel became real. And this pressure led to Amy Pascal choosing to resign from Sony Pictures to create her own production company that is still involved in Sony films, and to the rush casting of Tom Holland as the MCU's Peter Parker, Spider-Man, to appear in the crossover event film Captain America: Civil War. Now, I know it's hard to say for certain if Spider-Man would have never been in the MCU if not for these email leaks, but I am confident in saying that this breach across international lines, this inadvertent war between Sony Pictures and North Korea, somehow secured Spider-Man's spot in the MCU cast. And that, I guess, through all the weirdness of this story, is a byproduct that we can all celebrate. Hey everyone, thank you for watching the video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another video, and I'll see you on the channel.